If you're planning to drive around Iceland, but you're not sure if you should choose a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive, here's a quick guide on what is the best car for your adventure. Starting out with a two-wheel drive, this is probably, in terms of budget, the best option for many people if you're trying to save on money when it comes to renting a car. And that is because since the cars are a bit more compact and they, are more fuel efficient as well than compared to a four-wheel drive car, you can end up, if you're staying for something like 5 days, save hundreds of dollars in comparison to renting a four-wheel drive for that amount of time. You can end up having a much more budget-friendly option for Iceland by going that route. For those who plan to drive around to Iceland's most popular attractions, what is also great about a two-wheel drive is that you can do it in a car like this. However, there's certain seasons where it's definitely more recommended. So if you think of summer, early fall, late spring, yes, you can do it. It's not that it's impossible, of course, during the wintertime to use a two-wheel drive car, but I'll get into, of course, with four-wheel drive, why, at least in my opinion, that's my preference. So take it with a big grain of salt. Locals here, many of them use two-wheel drive, but also many of them who are going to go out to the countryside, like to see the sights, whether it's Iceland's Ring Road, Golden Circle, South Coast, are using four-wheel drive cars because of the stability. If you're not familiar with winter driving and want to come to Iceland, then like I mentioned, you might go with the other option of four-wheel drive, but a two-wheel drive is great for the months in which the road conditions are much better. One thing to note though, it is Iceland. And so we do have conditions sometimes, even in the summer, where we've had, like in June, it snowed for like a few days. This is not a normal occurrence, meaning it's not always happening, but on average, it's good to keep in mind that we have relatively great road conditions during those seasons that I mentioned. So those months, June, July, August, September, late May, times like that, October, beginning of October, where it can be much more easier to drive a two-wheel drive and not have to encounter such intense conditions. One of the things that you cannot do with a two-wheel drive car in Iceland is go into the Highlands. So two-wheel drive cars are not insured at all to go into the Highlands, so just keep that in mind. And if you wanted to be able to do that, this brings me to four-wheel drive cars. Of course, not every four-wheel drive car is the same, but it is good to know that many of them are insured for the Highlands. When you're going to rent a car, it's always good to double check if that's something that you're looking to do. The Highlands are amazing. The F-roads are what essence is translated to mountain roads, so Vegur is mountain road in Icelandic, and that in essence are these roads in which there's a lot more bumpy, there's rivers to cross, not paved, they're, intense gravel roads many of the time, and sometimes it's not even, the path is not even as clear as you would on a normal road, but they are designated as roads regardless. So there's like sticks and things that you follow, and it can be very adventurous, very fun, remote, raw nature, extremely beautiful. But if you're not familiar with how to drive on these particular roads, especially when it comes to river crossings, it is good to take precaution. Not necessarily go to some of these places where the rivers are very hard to ford, meaning to cross. You can even go to some places where it doesn't require you to ford a road if you just kind of want to get your feet wet in essence with being in the Highlands. But a four-wheel drive car is absolutely necessary. And we're talking about a part of Iceland, like 80% of the country, that is the Highlands. That's a big chunk that is in the middle that you can be able to experience away from all of the crowds, but having the right car is key, of course. During the other months of the year, so the winter season, early spring, late fall, definitely at times, especially in certain areas in the north, having a four-wheel drive, in my opinion, is amazing. And that's what I prefer to drive when it comes to the wintertime in Iceland, definitely. And there's a couple of reasons. Of course, with four-wheel drive, you have all of the tires that you can use on ice and snow, but also the clearance. These cars are usually SUVs, and so they are higher up than a two-wheel drive car. And so if there is a decent thick amount of snow or ice, you can usually clear that much easier. And that's part of my preference as to why I use four-wheel drive cars in the wintertime. If you're gonna be driving out anywhere in the countryside in Iceland, it is my suggestion. Like I mentioned, people here do use two-wheel drive cars. There are nail tires that are put onto cars by rental car companies. Not every company does this apparently, but a decent amount of them. And so having winter tires on makes a difference. But for me, a four-wheel drive during the winter is usually what I suggest to people when I'm doing my one-on-one consultations for trip planning, when I am talking about like just my own adventures and things of that nature. And also in general, when it comes to a four-wheel drive car, they're usually bigger cars. So two-wheel drive, compact, four-wheel drive, but more space. So whether it's for you and other people or just your gear, you're wanting to have more space in the car in general, four-wheel drive cars are nicer for that. As I mentioned, this is just a quick guide just to give you some elements to take into consideration as you are planning your trip. As you can see, there's different elements to take into consideration depending on what your adventure is going to be in Iceland. But regardless of whatever car that you choose, you can save some money on renting those cars by using my code Iceland10 with Go Car Rental Iceland to save 10%, which really goes a long way in saving on renting a car here. Or if you're planning to use a camper van, you can use my code Iceland7 to save 7% and get 2 free duvets with your rental, which is great because whether you're camping in the summer or the winter or in between months, it can get a little chilly at times. So it's nice to have those duvets already part of your package. And with this quick guide, you can assess for yourself what makes sense. Should you use a two-wheel drive? Should you use a four-wheel drive? I'd love to hear, based off of the points that I have given, whether or not a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive would work for you, because timing in terms of season, like I mentioned, and then where you're planning to go makes a big difference. So let me know in the comments. As well as in the description, you'll find my ultimate guide to renting a car in Iceland. It's totally free and it's on my website, allthingsiceland.com, and it gives you the full rundown of all the things that you need to know when you're planning your trip in terms of renting a car, when you get to Iceland and once you receive the car, and of course giving it back, because there are different elements to know, as well as driving around the country because there are signs that might be unfamiliar to you and things here rules wise that it's very helpful to keep in mind as you're going and adventuring around the country. I definitely have a lot more car related content coming up, different adventures. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.